But the land you are crossing the Jordan to take possession of is a land of mountains and valleys that drinks rain from heaven. Deuteronomy 11:11. I am regularly asking God this one question for the pioneer families, and those boldly standing on the front lines for Jesus: what's next? Recently, I asked this again, and the Lord spoke to me about the pioneer's path over the next few months. This is what I heard: they are being positioned. Positioning means to put in place or position. The right or appropriate place. A strategic area occupied by members of a force. The arrangement of body parts, posture, a standing position. An advantageous place or location. Interestingly, the etymology of the word means three things: to leave, build, and settle. God is moving his pioneers into their locked positions in the months to come as a warrior army poised for victory and strategic, innovative exploits. I sense a great reshuffle of roles and spiritual appointments and positions in the months to come, where those who had been faithful to steward their previous post are being moved into a new capacity. I also sensed God handing new keys to those who will be the breakers and key forces of impact in their cities in this season. I feel strongly that this positioning is because of the pioneer's posture in the past months and years. So many have stayed in the secret place and stood even when they were at breaking point. Many have been sensing these new assignments coming for months, as it's felt like the grace on old assignments has been lifting in passion and focus shifting. You are about to step into something new. For many, though, this assignment shift has not just been spiritual, but physical, as God has been preparing people to move from one temporary location to the place they can finally settle. This process has been quite traumatic for many who have been longing to plant down their roots and feeling like they will always be wanderers moving from place to place, but where God is leading you next is to settle you and plant your family. So many pioneers have felt disillusioned and lost in this season, asking, wasn't the last move the final move? Wasn't the last faith step the final one? But you were simply en route through the transitionary place to the place of establishment. They are converting from sojourners to settlers. They are changing status from migrants to being rooted and fixed. Soon you will be fixed. Soon you will find your X marks the spot. Soon you will be able to put your bags down and rest, because while you have been sojourning like Abraham for what feels like years, or even decades, you are shifting from a pioneer to a planter and builder in the years to come. You need to know that there is grace right now for the leaving. God is the master designer of your season, and while you may still feel heartbroken that this wasn't the place, and the expectations of that place weren't met, God is going to move up in your heart in the next month to shift you from weary back into wonder for the journey ahead. He will shift your heart from feeling displaced and heartsick over the thought of more movement, and give you a longing for adventure and finding the place you will come fully alive. They have been in the wrestle of the manifestation of faith. Then I heard the Lord say, so much more was accomplished in this place of radical faith and trust than you realize. This was where the giants looked menacing, and the impossibilities came at you from every direction to prevent you from your positioning. This is where the greatest assassination plot against your destiny came to take you out and defeat you, but it didn't work. You may not feel victorious yet. You may not have seen any wins yet. You may not see any fruit from this season of contending, but in the days to come you will look back and know this season is a wrestle of legacy. Like Jacob wrestling the angel, you are feeling out of joint and worn out, but this is also your moment where things shift for you, and you never go back to famine and survival again. Those old battles are done. You will look back in the days to come, and you won't see the absence of God's direction, but of His presence and protection. Where you felt He had abandoned you, you'll see His hand covering you. Where you felt hope deferred and so many promises unfulfilled, you will see the battle that sought to delay and prevent them but failed. Every single one of them will surely come to pass before you, like dominoes. There will be miracle stories to tell of roads clearing and supernatural provision. God is not leading you on without provision. I feel that so many feel almost burnt in this area. Like God led them but didn't feed them. And I'm not just talking about financial provision, but also other needs such as community and purpose. So many pioneers are hesitant to trust a new set of directions and coordinates because they feel like they gave everything for the last faith step and got there to find lack, and not what they expected. They didn't find the community, the mission, or the purpose. Are we meant to be sitting ducks, just barely getting by, Lord? Many have said. But this has been an assignment of the enemy to put a bad taste in their mouth for their future and bring them into disbelief and stagnancy. But watch as God reveals the enemy's hand in this and refreshes you where you felt like the Israelites at the bitter waters. God will turn your bitter into laughter and your mission impossible and failure into a miracle tale of 11th hour breakthrough. They have been in a great deliverance, separation, and preparation. I saw a vision of a surgeon with a knife that was going in deep and knew it was the Lord working deeply in your life to get you back to full health and prepare you for the season ahead. It reminded me of the scripture in Hebrews 4:12 which says, "For we have the living word of God, which is full of energy, like a two-mouthed sword. It will even penetrate to the very core of our being where soul and spirit, bone and marrow meet. It interprets and reveals the true thoughts and secret motives of our hearts." God has been detoxing you with His words and heart for you where people and culture have tried to take you away from your purpose and slime you. He has been severing the ties and binds that have kept you anxious, foggy-headed, and in spiritual defeat. He is unshackling you from the handshakes with unequally yoked people, so you can embrace the road He is taking you on. In this season He has been connecting dots you could never orchestrate and seamlessly joining roads from obscurity and dead ends to new paths and beginnings. It may have felt like a war room season, but you can't see the angel armies that were dispatched on your behalf and the wars that were fought for you that you knew nothing about. God has been clearing the way to bust you out of containment and lead you out into the open. And someone needs to hear this without the cliche, there will be a new beginning. You can't go into this next phase dragging the labels and words and past you have been. Give yourself permission to start again, not just locationally but spiritually. Let your soul find rest, reconcile the road behind you, and embrace the new. I am giving them new hunger for what's to come, and giving them new blueprints and strategies. I kept hearing the word greater. After he said this, I felt that these pioneers were going to display the greater in the days to come, but first God was stirring them to holy discontent. These are the ones that feel like they can't sit still or pretty right now. They can't sit in a service and just be. They have to move, act, speak, and be part of something truly moving. Jesus said, "Greater things in my name you shall do." John 14:12. And these ones, even in the midst of their own trials and doubts, are violently taking heaven by force and saying, "There must be more and we want it." It's the pioneers who are looking around them right now, and are seeing the current world events and saying, "There must be more we can do, there must be solutions we are meant to carry." And heaven is responding to their hunger. These are the ones who are saying, "We just can't wait anymore, we must do something with what's in our hands." And despite their own discomforts and battles are choosing to move, to create, and to birth. Then I saw it. It was a letter that looked like a list. God was handing out practical strategies and tactical revelation to the pioneers because of their hunger and pursuit of righteousness and justice. This list contained insight for every pathway to navigate the current world system and things to come. And the pioneers were the receivers and dispensers of this revelation. They will reveal how the church can avoid pitfalls and future calamities, and know how to live on the offense. Earlier in the week I kept seeing mantles laying in the dust and red running shoes, and didn't know why. Then I heard him say, "They will pick up the mantle they dropped in the battle, and put on the new shoes of a new day." I straightaway had the scene come to mind of Elijah, who put his mantle around his face, and left the cave he had been hiding in because of his great opposition. It was shortly after this that he threw that same mantle around Elisha, and called him into the ministry. I feel like many have retreated into the cave, because of how hard things have become, but God is right now calling you to pick up your mantle again and wrap it around you. As you do, you will hear the voice of the Lord in a way you haven't in a while, and leave the place of defeat you have been in. As you dust off your mantle, you will feel a renewed strength for the road ahead and feel every tormenting assignment against you and your family leave. And just like Elisha, putting on that jacket will begin to burn the plow in your life in places the enemy wanted you to settle and stay stuck. In a moment your eyes will open to see where you almost traded your birthright for comfort, and you'll stand up, close the door, and move on. And it's time to put on new shoes. Shoes represent mission and movement, and in this season the Lord is inviting you to run with Him in a new way. I asked the Lord why they were red, and then I heard the word redemption. The new shoes may look daunting, a few sizes too big and more than you feel you can undertake right now, but the road ahead is marked with redemption by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. This is where your crazy pioneering story gets to turn into impact and impartation as you share and release the breakthrough of your journey to others that are stuck. Pioneers, it's time to put on your new shoes and run into this next season. Let go of the disappointment and let Him take your weariness away, because your transition is about to turn into the most wonderful positioning and miraculous fruit to show for standing and trusting for so long.